A while back, I was on the second worst place on the internet, Twitter. And during the two hurricanes that hit North Carolina and Florida, one thing kept popping up: HAARP. HAARP controls the weather. The government uses HAARP to control the weather. We must get rid of HAARP because it controls the weather. And on and on and on. And I kept wondering to myself, why were there so many people blaming weather control on this so called HAARP? So I had to dig. What does it mean? In my weather control video, I briefly talked about HAARP and some of the conspiracies behind it. But as weather events like Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton seemingly become more common, people start to find things to blame for it. Welcome to Conspiracy Summaries. I'm Casey Man, and let's get into HAARP. To start, what is HAARP? The High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, or HAARP, is an ionosphere research program currently run by the University of Alaska Fairbanks. It is located in Ganona, Alaska. While its main area of research is the ionosphere, some other scientific instruments include a high-powered radio frequency transmitter. But why is it named Auroral Research Program and not Ionosphere Research Program? Simple. The ionosphere, between 80 and about 600 kilometers above the atmosphere, is where harmful ultraviolet and X-ray solar radiation ionizes. If you know what that means, it turns the radiation into ions, or electricity. During solar flares, the UV and X-ray waves ionize in the ionosphere and create aurora. These auroras are important because the ionosphere reflects and modifies radio waves coming from Earth. Because of the ionosphere and its importance for radio communication, both the U.S. Air Force and Navy deemed the project necessary to national security. Alaskan Senator Ted Stevens pushed hard for this program to be in Alaska, and it worked as the government gave Alaska the project. HAARP, despite all of this, only being towards ionosphere research, is blamed for a lot of weather events. Most recently, Hurricane Helene and Milton. Both these hurricanes were very devastating to the Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina and the Florida Gulf coastline off of Tampa Bay, with the Tampa Bay baseball stadium having its roof ripped off completely. The devastation in Appalachia was caused by dams in the region flooding and collapsing, sending millions of tons of water down small creeks and rivers. Appalachia is having a tough time recovering too, as it's super remote with very little access to emergency services and internet. A lot of other weather events are blamed on HAARP as well. Hurricane Katrina, which destroyed the city of New Orleans in 2005 by breaking the city's levees, causing its population to flee the flood-prone city, in which New Orleans was never able to recover from. HAARP is also blamed on the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami, the 9.1 magnitude earthquake that hit Japan in 2011, and the tsunami that followed soon after that destroyed coastlines of northern Japan, along with causing the Fukushima disaster soon after. Another one that's blamed is the 2010 Haiti earthquake, which the nation of Haiti hasn't been able to recover from after nearly 14 years. It is also one that is pinned to HAARP's hands. All these disasters have one thing in common: they're large and devastating to regions. And with the examples of Hurricane Katrina and the 2010 Haiti earthquake, those areas haven't been able to recover since the disaster happened. The most recent disasters that have been pinned on HAARP's hands are Hurricane Milton and Helene. These two have brought the conspiracy mainstream, as many politicians and popular people in the media have started to claim that HAARP is a weapon used against the people. One person, controversial Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who brought up the claim that HAARP controls the weather on October 3rd. She tweeted that weather modification was possible to influence hurricanes. And a few days later, she stepped up the claims by claiming the government was modifying the two hurricanes to scoop up land for cheap. Later on, Alex Jones would claim that HAARP was used as a weather weapon creator, and the US government created these two hurricanes. He also claimed that many meteorologists were hiding the fact the US government was controlling the weather. It's obviously sparked some to believe that the government is actively trying to harm them with the weather. And if that isn't what they believe, the idea that the US government wouldn't attempt to end hurricanes with cloud seeding also angers some. HAARP isn't just blamed on the weather. Some people also blamed it for the crash of TWA Flight 800, a flight in 1996 from John F. Kennedy Airport in New York to Paris that only lasted 12 minutes because after takeoff, it exploded and crashed into the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Long Island. There isn't a very good explanation on why the flight crashed. Many theories range from a simple mechanical failure to a missile striking the aircraft down. These ambiguous answers and the government refusing to open the case began wild conspiracy theories surrounding the flight, including HAARP's connection to the crashing of this flight. Some believe that the waves of the program caused this crash. Gulf War syndrome has also been connected to HAARP. Gulf War syndrome is a chronic disorder affecting those who took part in the Gulf War. Over 600,000 Americans who fought in the Gulf War were diagnosed with the syndrome, and some symptoms include rashes, muscle pains, and diarrhea. The most likely cause of it is the use of chemical weapons like insecticides and warfare gases like mustard gas. A less likely cause is the large amount of oil fires started by the retreating Iraqis from Kuwait. The smoke from the fire would get into the soldiers' lungs, harming them. However, firefighters tasked with stopping the fires did not suffer from Gulf War syndrome. And of course, HAARP is blamed, using its powers to affect US soldiers fighting the war. However, why would the US government harm their own soldiers? To hide something? It just doesn't make that much sense. With all the conspiracies surrounding HAARP, I find it hard to see why people believe in them. It's similar to chemtrails, and then people need to take time out of their day to understand what they actually are. And it's easier to just assume and believe that there's something more sinister hiding behind HAARP because what it actually does is too complicated to understand. I also think its location plays a huge part into why people believe that there's a devil in its details. It's located in an area many people in the world will never go, northern Alaska, in the middle of nowhere. A hard location to get to. Why does it need to be here? It's causation in the location. Another controlling device because people have no idea what it is or where is it. And that's why people think it causes disasters and controls the weather. It's easier to believe that than to actually look into it and what it actually does.